Well, this is a wonderful session that we get to have with Michelle. She's with a girl and her dog farm, and we've been tracking with Michelle for quite a while. Predominantly, uh, she's taken a backyard setting and just makes a farm that feeds an awful lot of people. So, without me saying any more, Michelle, um, who are you? How did you get there?
Hi. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm Michelle. I like to say I run a mini backyard farm. So I'm located in the Bay Area and I run a CSA program. So CSA starts for it's short for community supported agriculture. So basically I have a couple neighbors and friends as my customers and I grow food in my backyard from fruits to veggies, herbs, flower bouquets, and I box it all up every other week and give it to them. And that happens throughout the year during spring, summer, and fall. And yeah, it's me, my dog, my chickens, and my garden.
Is your dog around you by chance?
Yeah, she is laying down over there.
And what's her name?
Rita.
Rita. Okay. So Rita's almost in all your videos, I would think, right?
Yes, she's the best garden girl.
Okay, wait. One more. Go with that. Why is she the best garden girl?
I think she really knows how important the garden is to me because she will stay on the walking paths. And if she sees a crop she wants to eat, she'll sit right in front of it and wait. And she knows that she's going to get all of the garden snacks that she can get.
So just doesn't take it without asking. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you get here? What caused you to think this one through?
Yeah, so this is not I'm not formally trained in this, but during COVID, I just really needed an escape. So I said, why not start a garden on my apartment balcony? So I got a few pots. It wasn't super sunny, but I was determined. Got some seeds, and it really took off from there. I became obsessed with gardening and researching the best ways to garden. I ended up taking a 10-week farming course at UC Santa Cruz where I learned organic farming, and that was on a bigger scale. And after that, I said, you know what? I want this to be my career. I want to keep learning and doing this. So that's how I started my little business. And now I'm a backyard farmer.
Okay, so let's first of all, that's amazing. Um, I my first my first piece that I learned years ago was that if you don't water something, it dies. So I've moved past I've moved
Yeah.
past that one. Um, let's assume people don't know anything other than I've got a green lawn and we mow it all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the basics that give me the basics of gardening? Let's just kind of walk on through each one of these points if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I started as that. I didn't know what to do. I was starting with just a cement slab at my apartment. And so, really, what you need is sunlight, soil, water, and fresh air. I mean, you can grow in your house if you want to, but that could get a little messy. But it really comes down to um, having good soil. If you want to garden, you're really not feeding the plants, you're feeding soil for having healthy, nutritious soil. So you can bring that in bags if you want to do potted plants, or you can take your lawn and create soil from that. I sheet mulch my lawn with cardboard to help take away the grass. And so then I'm just left with that raw dirt. And then I feed that to turn it into healthy soil. So
Who's giving you
compost,
advice on what to feed? That was
I,
research.
I've done a lot of research and a lot of trial and error. And compost is a gardener's best friend, I've discovered. That is something that you can create yourself or you can bring it in. I do a little bit of both. But yeah, feeding your soil is going to help you in the long run.
Okay. How do where would I place this? I've got a front yard that's a lawn or a backyard.
Yeah.
Where's the right placement? Up against a fence? What am I in the middle so I have most sunlight? What would be your thoughts?
I would say put your garden where you're going to walk past it the most. If you're planting a garden, but it's like way in the corner of your yard and you're like never going to go back there, that is not the right place. Even if it's a super sunny spot, that's not the right place, because if you want a successful garden, you want to be walking past it, looking at it, tending to it. You want to make it easy. If you're just beginning, you want to make it as easy as possible. So maybe that means you start with a little pot or a big pot and you put it like right by your door. Maybe there's not a lot of sunlight, so maybe you scooch it towards the sun. As much sun as possible is
All
best.
right. Okay.
But if you don't have a lot of sunlight, there are still things you can grow. You might not be able to grow tomatoes, but maybe you can grow a little bit of lettuce. But you want to put your garden where you're going to tend to it.
Okay. How about a raised bed versus in the ground? So how does heat
Yeah.
of the soil matter to me?
I mean, like metal raised beds can heat up the soil a little bit more than just in the ground. But if that's what you're working with, then you're just going to have to water it a little more. But wherever you can create healthy soil, wherever that's easiest, I would suggest starting there. So maybe raised beds, you can bring in soil in bags, and then
Mhm.
you are already starting with nutritious soil. Or maybe you have a big yard and you can just add some compost to your dirt to create it into healthy soil. So really start with where you are, what you have access to, what's going to be easiest for you, and there are ways to create your garden.
All right. What do I grow?
Grow what you like to eat, because
That's easy.
there are some crops like kohlrabi. I've never had it. I would never grow that because I don't know what to do with it. I love strawberries. So I have a big strawberry patch. I started with strawberries because if you're growing something that you like to eat, you're more likely to go out there and tend to it. You want to watch it grow. You want to watch the whole process of seeing it sprout and seeing the little blossoms. And you're going to take much better care of the plants that you really like to eat. So I plant carrots for my dog, even though they're a little hard to grow. I know she loves to eat them. So when she sees them pop up, she gets really excited. So definitely, if you're a beginning gardener, just start with things that you like to eat. So you're going to be more likely to tend to them, and you're going to be super excited when they pop up.
Okay, that was a really easy one. Uh, Watering, is there anything that am I putting mulch on? How do I keep my soil moist? If
Yeah,
it's
I like to use mulch. I use like a wood chip mulch. Some people use some straw to kind of help retain the water. Um, you can set up an irrigation system. You can hand water. Um, I would say I'm in California, so we're trying to conserve water.
Mhm.
So having drip line set up so that the water just goes straight to where your plant is really helpful, because you don't really want to water your whole area if you don't have plants there. Just water in the focus place where the plant is. But hand watering can take a bit of time. So if you can do the research to learn how to set up a little irrigation system, then that will make gardening much easier for you.
Okay, so just this last weekend, someone asked, Dave, do you have a rototiller that I could borrow? Do you believe in rototilling, or do you uh, more? conservationists? Nowadays, we're more of a no-till. What's your take?
Yeah. When I was at UC Santa Cruz, that was a very hot topic, to till
Hmm.
or not to till. And we learned that it's okay to do one till, like one big till, just to get your garden started, just to get the soil, if it's like really compact, just to start it so that life can grow there, but then no till after that. So if you have
Oh,
like really hard pan soil and you cannot bust into that, then doing a till at the beginning to just get you started should be okay, but not to do it year after year after year. Does that make
all right.
sense?
Oh no. Okay. So, okay, why?
Because the structure of the soil is really important for the health of the soil in the long term. So you don't want to disrupt that structure every time, because there's like air pockets in the structure of the soil. And if you're continually disrupting that and breaking that down, then your soil is you're going to deplete the nutrients of that soil. So that's why compost is super helpful, because that's like a very gentle way to bring soil health back to life. Because you're just letting all the nutrients do its thing instead of us physically disrupting that soil. So that's why compost is a gardener's best friend. So I didn't rototill my garden, and I have super clay soil. Like, it does not, water does not penetrate through it. So I
Hmm.
added a bunch of compost, and now it's like a nice loamy soil. And that took like 2 or 3 years to get to this place. So I think like working with nature and what you have is going to be best for the planet and for your garden. But you have to know that nature takes its sweet time. The seasons take time, and nature is going to take its time with your garden. So you just have to embrace that it might take a while to get to a certain point. But also, that's kind of the fun part about it, is you get to see the whole process, and while you're waiting you can learn things. So that's like the approach I take. Just
I love it.
continue to learn.
Continue to learn. That is a motto here. Okay, so pollinators. If you're growing spinach, you don't need pollinators, right? So help us understand where the mason bees or where you'll be having leafcutter bees. Help me understand those two pieces.
Yeah, so I am looking at my mason bee house right now. I just put the little bee cocoons in, and I saw one hatch the other day.
Oh,
And
fun.
right behind me is my apricot tree, and if you look really closely, maybe you can see the blooms on it, but it is bursting with blooms. So the reason I found mason bees is because I was looking for like a low maintenance way that's with nature in mind to help my garden, help bring pollinators. And the first year that I got mason bees, this apricot tree had so many apricots. I could not believe a tree could have that many apricots. And I truly believe it was the mason
Through the bee.
bees
Yeah, I
that
bet.
did their work. So I have 3 fruit trees here, and berry bushes behind my chicken coop, and a big patch of strawberries. And I see the mason bees doing all the work. So I believe in native pollinators to help the garden and help you produce crazy amounts of food.
Okay, that's so true. That's how I started too. Just years ago, I put bees out. All of a sudden, I went from no apples to thousands of apples. Just like, okay. Have you tried the leaf bee yet?
Yeah, I did that for the summer for like my summer crops, like my tomatoes. And last year was the first year I did the leafcutter bees.
Hmm.
And I had a whole bunch of tomatoes this year, like way more than I've ever had. I'm like, it has to
Okay.
be
Yeah.
these
Oh, it is.
native bees.
No, I absolutely agree with you. All right. Okay, so we've talked through, let me just check these things off. We've talked through sun's important. You didn't talk about
Mm.
fresh air. I mean, going outside, that is as fresh as it can get, right?
Yeah. I mean, I also say like focus on growing outside because I know indoor farming is like the new big thing, but there's something about being outside and being in the soil, having your hands dirty with the sunshine. Like, it's really good for your mental health.
All
Like,
right.
all my friends who I've like convinced to start gardens, they are so happy to have the chance to go outside and grow. So I would say give outdoor farming a shot before indoor farming.
All right, that's fair. How about pests? Around me, I have stupid
Yeah.
slugs. I have bunnies that, so I, nah, and every now and then a deer comes through and just
Yeah.
plows through my thoughts on pests. I mean, it is part of nature, right? They
Yeah.
want their food.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of like quick solutions with pesticides to like get rid of all your pests. And I've tried to steer clear of that because I know in the long term that that's going to negatively affect the pollinators, which I so love that are
Mhm.
helping me so much. So, I found that like physical barriers are a little more helpful. Like for slugs, I take my chicken's eggshells and crush them up and put them around the really succulent green leaves of my lettuce. And the slugs will not walk over the eggshells because it's like really sharp for them.
Sharp. Okay.
And the deer, I have deer that live in my neighborhood and they have really hurt my feelings. They have eaten so many things, but through research, I've found that there are certain crops that they won't eat. Like they won't eat any alliums. So I have like all my onions and garlic in my front yard that they can't jump into my backyard, but they can have full range of the front yard. So I'm like, okay, you can have all the alliums. I know
If
you
you
won't.
want.
And squirrels are so mean. And I found that like little see-through bags, like breathable little bags, I just put around my strawberries and the squirrels can't get into that. So it's a little trial and error with working with nature instead of using like these pesticides. You will fail. I'm gonna tell you, if you're a beginning gardener, you will fail, but you will learn from that, and you will feel so good when you find a solution that works, and you'll get to harvest your crop and not just give it to all the neighborhood animals.
This has been wonderful, Michelle. I just so appreciate the words and advice you've got. What would be your final take for our viewers to consider?
Yeah, I just want to be here to like be everyone's cheerleader. That I believe that you can start your garden and grow your own food. I was in your place not knowing what the heck I'm doing and just really wanting to start somewhere. So I would suggest to any beginning gardener to just start small. Don't try to turn your whole backyard into a farm. You will get there. Start with one little pot, your favorite plant, and just tend to that, give all your energy to that plant, learn from your mistakes because you're going to make them. But every farmer I know kills more plants than they harvest from. So it takes time, it takes years, it takes seasons, but the ride, the joy that you will experience from starting a seed, seeing it grow, harvesting from it, and doing it all over again is so great. So just start somewhere, start small, and if you're working with nature in mind, you will find success.
How do people find you and follow you? What platform are you on?
I am on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm Girl and Her Dog Farm. And I post a lot of silly videos, but you'll see my dog Rita and my chickens and me.
That's awesome. Michelle, thanks for your time. Appreciate this.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.